What happened was...
Hey friends, it's so nice to see you. It's today, the time is now. You are here and the weather is outside your window.
Today's guest has enchanted audiences across the country for years. Please welcome Drama Desk Award winner, 3-time Tony Award nominee, and veteran of 14 Broadway shows, the one and only Carolee Carmello.
It's Carolee Carmello!
Hi, everybody!
Hi, thanks for coming on. This is very special to have a live in-person interview. It's usually on
Even
Zoom.
if I am all sweaty and gross. I rode my bike over here.
From New Jersey.
From New Jersey,
across the bridge.
Yeah, it's a little hot today.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you.
Thank you.
We've been talking about having you on forever. And because this is I think the show started in early 2021. And I said, hey, do you want to be on my show? And you said, absolutely. And here we are, mid-2022.
12 years later, yeah.
We've been busy.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on. I especially wanted to talk to you now because you just finished your first operatic contract playing Mrs. Lovett in Sweeney Todd at Opera Saratoga.
That's true.
And, of course...
My first opera experience, yes.
Yeah. And you're, of course, a very well-known Broadway actor. You've done 14 Broadway shows and 3 Tony nominations, a Drama Desk Award, several Drama Desk nominations, TV and film, and...
He's doing that all from memory.
Well, yeah,
That's
I know
impressive.
you. I'm not yet reciting your discography.
He doesn't have like a card down here.
And we, of course, met doing The Addams Family on Broadway, which was so much fun. And we got to...
We even had a scene together.
We had a couple little scenes together.
Yeah, we
It was
did.
pretty fabulous. But, of course, you know that I was one of your biggest fans since before I met you, and you've always been my favorite Broadway voice, and
I did not know that.
Well,
Thank you, Zachary.
I'm telling you, and it's true. So
Thank you.
yeah, so I just remember being in awe of you when we started working together and fangirling at all times and just having to keep it together.
I don't remember that at
Well,
all.
Yeah, I kept it together.
My biggest memory is of you flying around the rehearsal room when we were doing rehearsals, instant acting rehearsals.
Instant acting. Yeah. That feels like 100 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
It
so
was.
you've had this enormous, incredibly
So
cool
I have a big
career.
opera career now.
Yeah. So then you're thrown into the opera world. What is your first impression? What are the main differences? Because I kind of have my opinions about this, having bounced around back and forth. But they're very different worlds, even though they're both telling story through music and acting and.
True, and you have much more experience with this going back and forth. Let's see, I guess my takeaway was that the opera world is so much more focused on the minutia of the music. And of course, as you know, and probably your audience knows, everybody comes into rehearsal already off book.
Yeah.
Which is very intimidating for
Yeah.
Broadway people because we kind of show up and go, okay, what do you want me to
What
learn?
are you doing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's play. So luckily I had done the role before, so
Right.
I spent, about a month sort of refreshing my memory about everything and going to rehearse on my own a little bit. But yeah, there's much more focus on, this bar of music versus what is the overall kind of motivation in this scene, or coming at things from an acting perspective and dissecting the scene work and the lyrics versus making sure that everyone's cutoffs are together.
Right.
Yeah.
Cutoffs. Oh no.
Which they were very good, I
I'm
have
sure.
to say.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just did a project where we stopped in our final room run, I think about 25 times to fix cutoffs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, we didn't get that crazy.
Yeah. I find it frustrating, coming from theater and being I like to think of myself more as an actor than a singer. The world doesn't see me that way, but unfortunately. But it can be. I'm more interested in storytelling and acting and character and atmosphere and relationship than cutoffs and this is a eighth note, not a whole note.
Yeah, there is a bit of that I noticed. Of course, I don't, like I said, have as much experience with this, world. But I also had, in this experience, a director and a maestra that were kind of from the theater world
Yeah.
more than the opera world, although they both kind of go back and forth. But
Right.
I think that made the experience lean a little more theatrical than it might have otherwise.
Yeah. Well, of course, and you had the wonderful Laura Bergquist, who's your conductor, who I
Yes.
worked with last summer on Man of La Mancha.
Right,
at Opera
which you
Saratoga.
were amazing in.
Thank you.
I went to see it. Oh
Thank
my
you.
God,
Thank
screaming!
you very much.
Yes, you're so good.
Well,
so good.
I wish I could have seen you as Mrs. Lovett. What
You saw it.
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't see it
No,
downtown?
I didn't see it downtown.
Oh.
Yeah, I missed
Yeah.
it. It was hard to get tickets.
I mean, it was a tiny little space.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me that you can take that same show and do it in basically a living room, which is what I had done for a year, 5 years ago in the Barrington. No, what was it called? What was that theater called? Not Barrington Stage. That's up in the Berkshires. It's a B. But anyway, it was downtown off Broadway in the Village, and they converted this space into basically a pie shop. And so it was size of someone's living room, and there were no microphones, and there were only 3 instruments in the band.
Wow.
And only 8 performers singing all the parts. And it was a really intimate, cool production. To then take that exact same piece and put it on this huge stage with a full orchestra and
Right.
a full ensemble and, big voices and microphones, and the piece holds up, it just is the beauty of good writing. And of course, Stephen Sondheim was brilliant, and I'm just amazed that it could work in both of those settings,
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those pieces. It's very special. I don't think I'd be in theater if I hadn't seen Sweeney Todd in high school
Oh yeah?
on a video.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it the Broadway production or?
It was the Broadway production with George Hearn, who I met at opening night of your show,
Scandalous.
Scandalous, yeah. And I couldn't speak. I was so moved to see him.
What a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Such a good man.
Incredible. Now, of course, you also do film and TV. So how do you...
Ish.
I mean, you've done a lot. How do you translate storytelling when you're on camera versus stage? This is kind of the big question.
Wow. I don't know that I'm that good at it, but everything is just so much smaller, and it's hard when you're a theater performer because you really want to reach, the back of the house.
Right.
You want to make sure that your facial expressions and your body movements are being reached, by the person who's 50 yards away in the back of the house. And when you're on camera, especially if it's just like, a 2-shot or a single shot of you, it's every little breath. So, I mean, the last big thing that I did was a series on Hulu called Dope Sick. And all the direction I got while I was there was, just make it smaller, just make it smaller. just a little bit smaller, just throw it away.
Wow.
So, and I thought I was coming into it, toning myself down, but
Right.
clearly not enough for that kind of piece. So yeah, it's a big adjustment. But I do think that people kind of rule theater actors out in a way that's not really fair, because I think that if you're a good storyteller, you're a good storyteller,
Yeah.
and you can interpret words, and that's really the important thing. And if you're being truthful about it, even if you have to make it bigger or smaller based on the venue, I think it's a little unfair the way we're, as stage actors, kind of ruled out of things. So hopefully
Yeah.
that begins to change.
I think so. I mean, I think stage is so much harder.
Do you?
I do. Yeah.
In what sense?
Well, that you
The
have to, you
schedule?
do so many performances,
Yeah.
right? But also that thing that is very special, that projecting your energy out and reaching the back person in the audience and making everyone in the audience feel special and like they're having this
Included.
experience
Yeah.
that is fleeting,
Mm-hmm.
that you can't rewind and watch again.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really tough.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, certainly schedule-wise, like when I hear people complain about having to work or having to do 3 shows a month.
Right.
Some people.
Right.
On Broadway and off-Broadway schedules, as you know, you do 8 shows a week, whether you
Right.
like it or not.
Right.
But TV and film is grueling in another way because, I'm sure you've experienced those really long days where
For
it
sure.
can be so draining, even if you're not actually working. The fact that you're there from 5 a.m. until midnight,
Yep.
even if you're only working for 15 minutes,
Right.
it can be more exhausting
Right.
than doing a 3-hour
Yeah,
live show.
Because you have to keep your energy going and your focus, but also it is really exhausting. And you're in a trailer or whatever,
Yeah.
and they're bringing food by, and it's awesome. But you have to.
And you
remember,
don't
like,
know when you're going to be called.
You don't
have
know.
this constant sense of, is it time? Is it my
Yeah.
turn? Should I go over my lines again? Should I
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
It's-
Is it okay to go to the bathroom? I have to get undressed. Like, when,
Yes.
and it's all very urgent once it happens.
Right.
Yeah.
That kind of wears me out more than
Yeah.
8 shows a week.
Yeah. That's interesting. Well, you're a stage animal, so
Yeah, I prefer it.
Yeah.
I do. And I also like telling the story from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Which you really don't get to do in TV and film. You will probably, even if I was lucky enough to do a TV series years ago called Remember When, where I was a regular on the series.
Yeah.
And we would film, an episode over the course of like a week or so. And so you kind of got the sense of beginning to end, but you shot everything out of order and it still wasn't. And most experiences I have nowadays that are probably similar to yours, where you go in for 2 days or 1 day,
Right.
and you have no idea what the whole story is. You're just doing this much of it, and you're hoping that the choices you make are right.
Mm-hmm.
And you just never know until
Mhm.
you see the whole thing put together.
Right, and you don't know what takes they're going to use, and
you have no control.
What angles? Sometimes you're speaking off camera. And
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows? And you just really don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have much more control of your whole performance when you're on stage.
Right.
I talk a lot with my hands, don't I? I'm noticing that.
It's-
Must be my Italian side.
Well, can I ask you some silly questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like silly.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, zodiac sign.
Virgo.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Favorite flavor of ice cream?
Coffee.
Interesting.
Coffee chip sometimes.
Oh,
Yeah.
like a coffee chocolate
Mhm.
mocha chip?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Nice, nice. It's your birthday. What's your cake request?
Orange, which is, I probably am the only person to say that, but ever since I was a kid, my mom would make me an orange flavored cake with orange frosting,
Oh,
and
wow.
it's so delicious. And
Wow.
I really only have it once a year, so
Oh, do you have it every year?
pretty much,
Nice.
yeah.
Oh. Beach or mountains?
Mountains, I guess. Yeah, freshwater
Yeah.
versus salt,
Salt.
definitely.
Okay. Dream vacation spot, whether you've been there or not.
Someplace in France, probably.
Nice. Favorite color?
Orange.
Orange.
Mhm.
I had to ask you that one because of our Addams Family
Oh,
experience
yellow.
where you spoke about yellow
Yeah.
so much.
I like yellow a lot,
Yellow's
but
cool. Yeah.
orange. And things change over my life. There was a time when green was really important. Now I kind of like orange. My car's orange, so I enjoy that.
That's cool. Is there a dream role that you never got to do?
Oh, lots.
Really?
Yeah. Things that I never got to do that now I'm too old for? Sure, definitely. I always wanted to play Eliza Doolittle.
Oh.
Such a great part. Auditioned for that revival years ago and didn't get that. I always wanted to play Mother in Ragtime. Too old now.
I don't think
yeah,
so.
Oh,
Come on.
I'm gonna be 60 in a month.
You
She
could
has
definitely
a
play
young
Mother.
child.
I would cast you, and I would pay a lot of money to And for that matter, Eliza Doolittle. So, yeah.
In a very big house.
But now you've done opera where you can be any age you want and play a 16-year-old.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so you're in.
So
You do
the
anything you
opera
want.
production of My Fair Lady, I'm in.
Yep.
Okay.
You hear that? Yep.
Somebody set that up.
Yep. Okay, a couple serious questions. You can go back in time to any point in your life and tell your younger self in that moment one thing.
Oh gosh. Just one thing, huh?
Or a brief monologue.
Wow. You know, I went to college for business administration, and I definitely would not go back and tell my younger self not to do that. Even though my career has taken me, you know, in a completely different direction, I think I would go back, you know, if I were talking to my high school senior self and just say, yeah, do what feels right now, and then if you change your mind, it's okay. Like my son is a senior in college right now, and I know he's kind of at that point where he's like, what do I want to do? And sometimes, you know, you make a choice at one point in your life and it feels like it's right, and then you suddenly go, oh, what about that? So I don't think I would go back and change it. I would just say, you know, do what feels right now, and then be open to other possibilities.
Yeah, like that.
Okay.
I'm glad you brought up that you majored in business, because I wanted to talk about that. It's one of the best stories.
Is it?
Yeah, I tell it all the time. Yeah, yeah, it's amazing.
SUNY Albany, yeah, go
Yeah.
Great Danes.
Okay, finally, what is the meaning of life?
Gosh, I saw somebody yesterday on some program talking about friendships, and you know, I think relationships are the meaning of life. Like I have 2 kids who I love more than anything, and I have good friends like you, and I have other family members, and I think that's really the most important thing, and that's all that. I mean, yeah, you want to have a career, and you want to make money, and you want to, you know, be remembered or whatever, but I think the important thing in my mind is making sure those relationships are maintained.
That's beautiful. People. Yeah.
People.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was that a dream role?
You know, I got cast in it once. When I was younger, they were doing a national tour. This is, you know, sort of one of those, like you had asked me, dream roles that I never got to do. I got so close to doing it that I was offered it, and we had negotiated the whole contract, and then something happened and they pulled the offer and gave it to like a pop star.
Wow.
And it was pretty devastating. So that was my chance, and I would have loved to have done it, but you know, things happen
That's
in
tough.
life.
Showbiz, yeah.
Showbiz, yeah.
Whew. Did you end up doing something cool instead during that time?
I don't remember. My daughter, my first child, was very young at the time, and I remember it was going to be complicated because it was a touring production, and I was like, I have to do it though. I have to do it.
Yeah.
So I probably was home with her, which is important.
Yeah.
Love you, Zoe.
It sounds important.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
That's all for today's episode. Puppies and rainbows till we meet again.